Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Connectedly Show numero trace for Monday, June 30th, 2014.
Hello, everybody. I am Kevin Mitchell, joined today by Adam Zeiss, who just did a brilliant introduction.
Thank you. How are you?
I think everybody's good.
Good.
We've got the editor-in-chief of WP Central. You know, he heard we gave Sam that title on the last show, so he made sure to be here on the next one to take back the title, which is rightfully his. Dan Rubino, welcome.
This is true, and thank you. It's good to be here.
And we've got Sam Sabri. Sabri. How do you say it? I always forget.
I say Sabri.
Sabri, I guess the number 2 in command on WP Central, and the man who's been overseeing MobileFit Month across our Mobile Nation sites, which is really the topic of today. I mean, it's June 30th. It's the end of the month. It's the end of MobileFit, and you know, I'm just going to throw it out there with kind of our takeaway from all this, which is fitness is way too hard to cover in 1 month, so we're just going to extend MobileFit to be a year-round thing on Mobile Nations. You know, we'll keep covering fitness apps, accessories, health apps, accessories, standing desks like Dan reviewed this month, which he'll talk about in a little bit. You know, you can't get in shape in a month, right? Health and well-being, that's really a lifestyle commitment. You got to be in it to win it if you want to be around here for the long haul. And we're just going to keep covering it because there's so much cool stuff. So I think we did an okay job this month. I mean, looking back, there's more I think we would have liked to have accomplished. But the good thing is it doesn't end today. It's really just the beginning, and we're going to continue this for the over the course of the year and beyond. But I think today we should look back at you know, what went well, some of the challenges, how we all did throughout the month, maybe look at some of the highlights. So, you know, Sam, why don't I turn it over to you
Sure.
to give a little recap?
Right. So it was a busy month. We all looked at some great apps for all the different platforms, focused on fitness, running, your time in the gym. Looked at some accessories like, you know, your best fitness trackers, wireless scales, things like that. It was a good month, but there's a lot more to do, and that's why we're extending the program. So now I just want to look how, you know, checking out how everybody did. I did pretty well. My goal this month was to just get into running a bit more, and so I think I did a pretty good job of actually forcing myself to go on long runs, and it finds it a bit more enjoyable, and it's getting there. You know, things like using apps to track your runs really helped because you can kind of see your progress. How you start off kind of sucking at running, and then as the weeks went on, you get a bit better. So I think I did okay there. How did you guys do with your goals?
I was pretty crappy. I think I ate worse than I have for some reason. I tried to do a lot better, but the summer's tough because we actually, you know, on the weekends we do a lot of family stuff. We have all kinds of barbecues, and there's like fairs here, you know, like little like town carnivals every other week.
Okay, wait, how many corn dogs did you eat this month?
Actually, I only had like 2 corn dogs because most of the fairs they do, I mean in Jersey anyway, they do like sausage and peppers and cheesesteaks and stuff like that. So I had quite a few Italian sausages, but overall I did better. I mean, I had good workouts, and I mean the plus side of that stuff is that I did a lot more walking, and I had my Fitbit to keep me conscious of that. So there were quite a few days where I was, you know, like 15,000 steps, which for me is really good. So, but it was always in my mind to try, you know, and be fit and try to make good choices. And whether it worked out most of the time is hard to say, but it's something that I'm gonna continually try at so that I can look more like Kevin and be so buff.
I just want to look like Dan and be more buff.
Ooh.
Dan, how did it go for you?
Oh, it went pretty well. I did drink more beer than I anticipated, but you know, that kind of happens sometimes. But
summer is tough, right? We said February is kind of a bad month, but maybe there's never really a great month. There's always something happening, you know. And when the weather gets hot, it's kind of patio beer drinking season.
I did lose also about a week with E3, so that kind of threw me off. Although I did still go to the gym at least 3 times in the morning there at the hotel. So but that's always tough with the traveling, and you go out to dinner and food and stuff. But once I'm home and I'm in my routine, I'm actually doing pretty well right now. I'm about down 1% body fat, which is pretty decent. I mean, I'm already really, you know, not really low, but I'm between like 13 to 15 usually, and so I'm pretty happy with that. I mean, my lowest I've ever been down was like 11%. I think, you know, you remember that last year.
Yeah.
That was
little dad.
yeah. So, but interestingly, my weight is up, so that's good because, I do a lot of lifting too, so that just shows, you're gaining muscle but losing fat. So that's always sort of the dream scenario. So yeah, doing pretty well though overall. Got my standing desk, and I go to the gym like 5 days a week still. So
Awesome.
Sweet.
How'd
I
you
had
do?
really, I sort of had like a half super successful month and half not. Like the first week of June, I was 1,000% committed to my Fitbit. I racked up like 15,000 to 25,000 steps a day for week 1, which was awesome. And then, like Dan said, traveling hit. I went to Montreal for the Formula One weekend, and then from there I went straight to Miami for a week of meetings and that. And in Montreal I was walking around a lot still, so it wasn't too bad. And you're outside, hot weather, so even when you're eating kind of a bad diet and drinking more, it doesn't feel like it sticks to you the same way. Like your body can get rid of it fast. But then in Miami we were more air conditioning indoors. I didn't have a good gym to go to. We just didn't. We were sitting around talking lots, right? So I just didn't get in the steps. A couple of bigger dinners, and coming home from that, I felt like you lose track. But then once I'm back home, I've been in a really good routine. But this month, the last 2 weeks of June, I did a lot less cardio and walking, so my Fitbit stuff was depressing to look at. But then I was hitting the gym 5 days a week with my trainer, and heavy squats, heavy deadlifts, lots of the plyometric, sort of, I don't know what they call it, just the modern day working out. So I'm actually feeling amazing. I feel super strong. I've kept my diet in check. I didn't worry. I wasn't too anal about counting calories or anything like that. Although I did it for a few days just to see, what I think is a normal day versus what counting calories tells me is the day, what I should be eating, which opened my eyes a little bit, because I'd say even when I think I'm eating not a lot, I'm probably eating way too much if my goal is to keep trimming down. But right now I'm like 185 pounds, probably the strongest and fittest I've been in at least a decade, maybe ever. I put on a tighter shirt, so that helps too, right? So overall, super happy. And with some of the different things I tried out this month, Fitbit I like. I just think there's still a long way to go on it, depending what you're trying to measure. Like I really want that ultimate wearable that is monitoring blood glucose and heart rate and motion, and somehow knows when you're doing like heavy weight exertion, because that's what I want.
Out of curiosity.
Say what?
Why do you want to know about heart rate?
I think just so you could get more accurate readings on calorie expenditure related to movement. I could sit around here like do and rack up calories, which is a lot different than if I'm running full tilt.
I used to. I haven't done it for a while. I have a heart rate monitor. And although they work with smartphones, if you run on the modern ellipticals and treadmills, they actually have the heart rate monitors built into them, or the detector, I should say, the receiver. So when you wear the chest one under your shirt, it'll still pick it up directly. So I don't even need my smartphone for that. And actually combine that with my Fitness Pal and Fitbit, you can then actually log in what are considerably I would say, a little bit more accurate calorie counting, because you're putting in your age and your weight, and then you're getting your heart rate in there as well. Supposedly the calculation is a little bit better.
Right.
But even I haven't really done that too much lately, but that's the only thing I can think of using it for.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is I don't really want to do it if it's a lot of work for me. Like I want the solution that gives me all that and it's easy, and then I would use it just to learn better what happens on my body. And I think that's one of my big things this month, is just paying really close attention to like how certain foods affect you. If you're eating healthy and then you eat out one night, I find it really messes me up the next day once you start eating clean and then you throw in a dirty meal. And it's funny, right? Like I'm waiting for the day where these wearables are doing blood glucose monitoring, and you're like, you check into McDonald's and on Yelp or Foursquare or something, you leave a review of what you ate, and then after that, the API from this talks to Yelp directly, and then they monitor your blood glucose. And I think if the world starts doing that, restaurants are going to really change what they serve people, because for me it feels like poison half the time.
Well, that's kind of the secret here, right? It's all about the open API stuff. It's one reason why I do like Fitbit and my Fitness Pal, is their information can be used and extracted. And it's one reason I can't stand Nike. I actually like Nike's Fuel Band, in terms of hardware. I think it's an awesome design, but their software and the proprietariness, I think, is what kind of killed that whole thing. And companies really need to have their data, allow the user to take it and then integrate with other services, because I think that's really where all this is, the usefulness of it comes into
It's totally
play.
true, right? I mean, companies need to manufacture products that they can sell individually, but really the biggest benefit here is the whole body of information and everything talking to each other. And you can feel like we're on the right path, or some companies are on the right path and others are not. So I think you're going to see a ton of evolution still over the next couple of years as it all shakes itself out.
That's one of the things too. If you look at iOS 8 and HealthKit, it's, you know, there's not a whole lot to it yet, but you can look in the actual app and just the stuff, the way it breaks down every little bit and piece of, you know, your body that eventually, you know, we expect these companies will integrate with HealthKit. But you know, it does all that stuff, like your glucose levels and your body mass and everything, and just all these like crazy stats. So ultimately, it could be like, you know, basically just this mirror image of you. You know, for whatever purpose, for tracking or for, you know, medical emergencies and stuff like that. So it's, you know, not such a far off thing. We'll definitely get to that point of Kevin's ultimate fitness tracker at some point in the near future, I would think.
But I think it still comes back to there's no such thing as shortcuts. I mean, if you don't, you know, put in the time exercising and being healthy, and if you make stupid decisions with what you eat, like, it doesn't matter how much tracking you have, you're not going to be any better off. But no, a good month overall, I think, in terms of just sticking with it. Although I think I didn't look at the Fitbit contest lately to see where I ranked, because I got depressed after my travel and quit trying. So who won, though? Do we have some winners?
We got 3 guys that were up in the top: Johnny Cat, Wayne, and Alan. Johnny Cat's number 1. He has 1,377,000 steps, with an average of 47,000 steps per day.
What? That's ridiculous. Is this guy like a Mobile Nation's regular reader, or is this guy just like a Fitbit group stalker?
Everyone in our Fitbit group is insane. I think they put us all to.
How do you get 40,000 steps in a day?
Well, if you're a Life Messenger in New York City, probably could do it.
Okay.
Okay. Well, do we have some random normal people winners too? I mean, congrats to those guys for being, holy crap. I hope the joints still work.
Yeah, it's
amazing.
It's an insane amount. But I mean, if I go above, you know, have a normal workout day, I can get about 20,000 steps in a day. So if someone were, you know, if you were like a semi-professional athlete, and, you know, you could probably get that pretty easly. It
also depends on goals and what you're doing. Like this month, I've actually de-emphasize my steps. You know, some people swear that running is like, oh, it's the best thing ever, but it also depends what your goals are. If you're trying to build muscle mass, some people say actually running is not a good thing. You know, there's a thing called LISS, low intensity steady state, which is you're just walking at a steady pace, but it's a pace, you're not running. And some say that's actually better for fat burning than, say, sprinting or the high impact interval training, HIIT, which is sort of its opposite version. But, you know, the important thing here is you find out what works for you and you stick with that. So I try to, you know, if I hit 10,000 steps in a day, that's good for me, especially since I'm standing all day in front of a desk, you know, for 8 to 10 hours. So in order to get those steps, I need to actually go to the gym, which luckily I have one here in my apartment complex, but I need to actually go and run for, you know, 30 to 40 minutes or even do something like that. But then again, my goal isn't to necessarily drop a lot of body weight or body fat. So, you know, that's one thing about Fitbit. You have to, like, you know, some people get really hooked on the steps thing, but I think it's good to have that minimum goal. But you also have to tie it into what your own personal goals are, if it's a weight loss, you know, that kind of thing. And of course, with Fitbit, you can, you know, type in if like an exercise. So for instance, weightlifting, that's not going to really count for steps, but you can manually enter into the, either the app or the website that you worked out, and you can get pretty specific. You can tell how long you've worked out for, and they have like predetermined activities. Like I remember one year I did snow shoveling. I was outside for like 2 hours, and I typed in snow shoveling, and it was already in there, and it gave you an average of like how many calories you burned an hour. So then all I had to do was type in how long you did it for, and it calculated it. So that was a cool way to like count that activity, even though I wasn't doing steps, And so, if you're using Fitbit just for steps and you're ignoring that part and you're trying to count your activity level and calorie burning, you should really look into that because it's super simple. Like I said, they have everything. You'd be surprised at things that people have calculated for calorie burning. So it's kind of
even this month we saw on Kickstarter a project launch, which is it's kind of by like a rinky-dink sort of startup. So it's hard to say if these will be the guys that pull it off or not. But they basically want to make smart gym equipment where you can walk up with your phone, NFC, tap a piece of equipment, and then it's going to start tracking all of your exact weight measurements on the machine and automatically put it into your phone. And I mean, that's getting better, right? Like where the phone's the digital ID, you could go to whatever. I know Dan likes this Planet Fitness, I think. And once they upgrade, then you don't need to manually do this stuff. You can just walk in, click, 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 boom, boom, boom. It's going to track your reps if you're using machines and that at least. And I think that's what I'm waiting for. Just make it dead simple to integrate.
No, it's definitely that's the dream, right? But the issue is now you're talking almost like a standard, right? Sort of like USB and Wi-Fi, how those are sort of an agreed upon standards by companies to adopt and use it. But USB would be far less convenient if like companies were just all doing their own proprietary connections, like we used to have with smartphones. Every smartphone had its own connector. It was a huge pain. Now we take it for granted that they're all like USB. Well, except for
an Apple product.
But
funny how that's always the company we have to.
Sure. But yeah, that's going to be, I think, the tough thing because right now, exercise and fitness stuff is still sort of niche for technology, and so to get those same companies to agree on a standard when they're all trying to out-innovate each other and they all think they can do it better, right? That's what it all comes down to. Sony used to use their memory stick duos because they would swear it was better than, like, say, a micro SD card, and so that's always going to be the issue that we as consumers have to deal with. It's frustrating. I'm not sure how you get around that,
I like to use the video store analogy because I worked in a video store forever, but there was always these big battles, and you had in the beginning there was VHS and Betamax, and VHS ultimately won, and then along came DVDs, or Laserdisc came first, and then DVDs came right after, and people got rid of Laserdiscs and adopted DVDs, and then there was HD DVD and Blu-ray, and they were in a constant battle again, and then Blu-ray ultimately won out. So it's all the same kind of thing where you like Dan was saying, you have these different companies trying to make their own thing the standard, but then ultimately, the consumers are going to adopt one or the other and make it the standard. But you can look too at individual things. I think last week we posted Bowflex has smart dumbbells that hooked up to your phone, so that's kind of moving into the fitness thing. And there was also some sort of fitness band, I forget what it's called, a while back, but it actually knows what workouts you're doing because it has all these accelerometers and gyroscopes and stuff. So whether you're doing crunches or lifting or curls or push-ups or whatever, it actually knows exactly which activity you're doing and calculates everything accordingly. So that's pretty cool too. So
now,
but
can I make the really weird random? This is the random observation that I don't want people to ridicule me for. I mentioned it to Adam earlier, and I was like, I'm not going to mention it on the show, but I'm going to.
Boy.
So whenever I wear this at the gym, I do not have as good a workout as when I don't wear it. And I don't understand why.
It's weird.
I blame it on my brain or something. I used to have this thing about, wearing mechanical watches versus digital ones, and it's like, I just don't want a battery on my wrist, acid, bad magnetic fields or something. But I swear to this day, when I don't wear it, I have a better workout than when I wear it.
What are you constituting a workout? Are you trying to do cardio or weights?
Weights, like pushing myself to the limit. I feel like my limit is higher when I don't have something strapped onto me than when I do. I think it's clearly in my brain, but
yeah.
Okay. I'll shut up now. I was just wondering if anybody else has ever experienced the same thing, or if I'm just crazy.
No.
Okay, so I'm clearly crazy. All right, that's fine. At least I know it's me and not a thing.
It's always just you. For the record.
All right, let's talk about some of the cool articles we had during this month, and we'll obviously have a lot more going forward since MobileFit doesn't end. But I want to talk a bit about Dan and your standing desk. How long have you had it now?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think I got it back in April or May.
Okay, so
Yeah.
2 months maybe.
Yeah.
Cool. How's it working out? You did a really great post on Windows Phone Central and
Yeah.
killer desk.
So the desk I have is the Anthro Elevate 2 Adjusta, and it's sort of, when it comes to stand-up desk, it's sort of the premium, it's like the Mercedes of stand-up desks. So it's very expensive. It's like around $2,000, but that's to serve as sort of, if you're in the market, you can see, okay, that's what the best is out there, and that's what it offers, and you can go down because it shouldn't be necessarily about investing $2,000 if you can't afford it into a stand-up desk. It's not like all or nothing. There are definitely desks that go for a lot cheaper. I'm privileged to be able to have this desk due to our work conditions and everything. And yeah, we get, Kevin buys us a stand-up desk apparently if we write 1,000,000 words. So it's definitely a nice incentive.
I was thinking backwards.
Mr. Adam, in which case you get nothing.
Yeah, it's like, okay, sorry, we've ruined your life by making you, a sloth in front of your computer. Now we can help turn it around. It should also be the other way around, right? It's like you start with the standing desk, but I don't know.
You can't sit down until
you're right. It
words.
is the 1,000,000-word award. So,
Right.
How often do you? So it goes up. You can use it standing, which you do most of the time, and then you can also put it down to sit.
Right.
Why do you use it to stand? When do you decide I'm done standing, I want to sit, or hey, I want to stand?
I rarely sit
Okay.
unless I'm going to be sitting down and writing like an intense review, or it's just a real intense writing session with no distractions. But for the most part, during just normal work day, I never sit. I just keep it standing all day. And how you start off the morning like that too. So I would say it's probably like 90-95% of the time standing. Then just on rare occasions, if I'm having a bad day, I'm not feeling well, I'll lower it. So yeah, for me, I work a lot better standing up. I really enjoy the productivity. I do feel more active and moving around, more likely to run downstairs quickly if I need to, as opposed to having to get up. I'm using the gel mat to stand on. I wear sneakers too to help give me some arch support because I have like no arches apparently. So, but in doing that, it's not too bad. My knees sometimes get a little sore. And I feel the tension in my legs at the end of the day, but it's not a bad thing. It feels like I've been walking all day. And so, I've been toying with the idea of getting like a treadmill under the desk, but then I think it's a little weird, like typing and writing, so I'm not sure if I can do that.
That'd be amazing.
But yeah, this desk is really good just for the amount of equipment, I can put on it. Like it looks like a mess right now, but I have like it's like a workstation on top of my computer desk, right? I can have like 5 or 6 phones here, cables, headphones. I can have 3, 4 tablets, a video camera, all stacked in front of me because it's a dual layered desk. It's got 2 shelves to it.
And Dan, I think you just hit the point there. Like, there's a lot of standing desks on the market now, and there's another really expensive one that just launched this year called the Stir Kinetic Desk.
Right.
And it's kind of like, if Apple built a standing desk, what you'd expect it to look like. And it's actually, I think it has like ex-Apple people, Walt Disney, like all these kind of Silicon Valley people running the company. But I'm really surprised at some of the, I think, poor design decisions they put into it because, what to me makes the Elevate Adjusta so good is the split level where you have the main desktop at the back, which isn't really your working level. Like that's just where, you can put stuff. And then you have a front part which you can independently move it up and down and adjust that angle. And when you just have a flat top, especially you see tons of pictures online where people are like standing up, there's a flat top, and then they have like a laptop sitting on it, which means you're looking down all day, and it's actually horrible posture. The thing with the standing desk is you need to be able to dial it in really properly to your ergonomics, or it will mess you up way faster than a sitting desk. And I mean, as somebody who's been doing it for 4 years, and I started with a homemade desk and just like by putting things on my desk on cinder blocks and dialing in the height, I became very intimate with the ergonomics that work for me. And ultimately, you want your monitors hanging at eye level. You don't want them sitting down. You don't want them looking down. And you want that that independent level for the arms because depending on the shoes you're wearing, the time of day, just how your posture is, like sometimes you're just like straight up and you want your arms a little more flat, or if you are kind of sitting back even in a chair, there's a better angle for support. So I think that's what makes this particular desk that Dan and I both have and we both love just so good, is that adjustability. And to me, those features trump anything else you can throw at a standing desk. Like you could throw on memory settings, you can make it pretty, etc. But if you can't dial it in the same way, to me, it's a lesser solution than what is out here.
Well, I was going to say that's the selling point of the Stir desk was, for those who aren't familiar, it has like basically a little computer in it, and it's actually a kind of a connected desk. It has Wi-Fi and Bluetooth built in, and they are kind of cool about it. Like it's supposed to connect up with Fitbit too, so it actually, because right now I'm standing, but technically my Fitbit obviously is not registering any movements. Now I could go into Fitbit and be like, oh, I stood straight for 8 hours, and it probably would count. But the Stir desk apparently will do that for you. It also, Stir works because of the name Stir. The idea is it actually will, Sam asked me before, how often do I stand versus sitting, and it's like 95% stand. But that's not necessarily good either. So like what the Stir desk does is it raises and lowers at certain periods during the day based on your work. And so it throws you off, right? So it lowers it, it raises it, it makes you sit down, makes you stand up. And the idea is it keeps you moving. And that's actually probably, slightly better, thing than
that's
what I'm.
It's a smarter desk, right? It's a smarter desk.
Right, it's smarter desk. But then, like you point out, like the actual design of it, it's basically a big block. There's no layers to it, and it can be kind of low. And it's not nearly as spacious as like what we're using now. So it's all trade-offs, but that's what's cool about the free market, right? You can find out what works for you and what you think would like, what you would like the most.
I'm going to show off a really cool standing desk accessory on the show right now, which, like Dan, I like to stand, but sometimes I just need to sit, and I really risk, like if I start the day sitting, I'm going to sit all day. So I always try to force myself to start standing. But sometimes if I'm writing or doing longer stretches of work, I need to lower myself. So I bought this stool, and it's actually designed for standing desks. And it's really cool. It's called the Movement, and it's basically designed for a standing desk. So you set it like this, and you can see, if I move this out of the way, it actually pivots. So I can lean forward, have proper standing posture, and it's a lot more controllable than like sitting on an ab ball or something like that, or Swiss ball, where you're really going to be kind of more moving around. And it's not so comfortable that you want to use it all day. So if I need a break from standing, I can sit on that, 30 minutes, an hour, and then it's really quick to just toss away and go back to standing. So great, great stool.
It's something to kind of throw you off. Like I have the, it's like a little pedal footrest, and it actually is on a rocker, so it goes back and forth. But what you do is you kind of like, it's like storking, right? When you're standing all day, you stand up on one foot for a while to rest your other leg. That's basically what this does. You can just lean forward and you put your foot on this rocker, and so it takes the pressure off of one of your legs, and you can roll it back and forth, and it helps with that. And you can kind of switch your legs during the day. And that's the idea, right, to keep your legs moving a bit and take that pressure off here and there. So yeah, there's a bunch of different solutions. I really wish there was a standing Swedish kneeling desk, which would be because the kneeling desks, or kneeling chairs rather, are like really good. I used to love using those, but since I'm not really sitting anymore, I like to have one that's really high up that I could then get into.
Kickstarter, Dan. Put it on Kickstarter right now.
I think more people would get hurt in trying to get into something like that, benefit from it.
Well, Sam, where do we want to go next here? You want to talk about some other?
Let's talk about actually. You've been using a wireless scale the longest, and so we wanted to hear some of your thoughts on it.
Yeah, no, for me it's interesting. I think a lot of the stuff that's becoming mainstream now, I got into kind of cutting edge, 4 years ago, as soon as it, sort of before it became big things. So even the standing desk, I started, I think, in 2009 or 2010 with it, and I've been a big proponent on it, and I love it. I'm going to brag here, where when I started doing it, everybody at Mobile Nations thought I was ridiculous, except maybe Dan and Renee. They were the two who were like, oh yeah, that's smart. And then now a good majority of the team, or at least almost a majority of the team, has now embraced it one way or another. And it's not because of hype or because everybody's doing it. It's because they try it and they're feeling the benefits, which is great. And same thing with a Wi-Fi connected scale. I mean, literally, I think as soon as Withings announced the world's first, smart connected scale, I pretty much bought one as soon as I could get one, and I've been using it ever since. And it's interesting because owning a smart scale, unfortunately, will not make you lose weight. It will not make you skinny. I mean, that comes down to diet and exercise and making the right decisions in your life. But for me, it, honest to God, I think helped me from falling right off the deep end these past 4 years. It's like being a tech blogger kind of thing, and the jobs we have. It's it's less of a job. It's more of a lifestyle. It's fun. I would do it for free if I won the lottery tomorrow. It's a challenging sort of thing. You're traveling a lot. When you travel, it's like, all right, you're all out. You eat, when you go out for good meals, you don't hold back. It's that kind of torturous lifestyle. And then at home, it's easy to get into the bad rut of, hey, I'm working on a Hero device review, so I put my life on hold for 4 days. And you just, don't work out. You don't do those things. And, if you look at my Withings scale, it's a little bit of a yo-yo where I go up and down, up and down, up and down. And people could look at that as a bad thing. I look at it as a really good thing because it's a very conscious yo-yo. It basically is when I yo-yo up and I hit 205 pounds, I'm like, that's it. Like, Kevin Mitchellek is not allowed to be over 205. So anytime that's happened, I immediately fix my lifestyle. I'm like, that's it. I'm not eating crap. I'm hitting the gym and I'm bringing it back down. And I've done that really well over the past few years. And then eventually I fall off again. It often for me is related to travel. If I'm home for 6 weeks, I get into a good routine, but then I travel for 10 days and I fall off the bandwagon. And it's really hard for me to keep it on check when I travel. I'd say this year I'm actually doing better than I ever have though. But that scale is really what helped me do it, because if I didn't have it and didn't have that honesty tracker where I have a dashboard that honestly you could go to it right now at connected.ly/Kevin's weight. You can see my weight publicly. It's out there. And by setting that rule and having it track it, it's all the difference for me. And I think, Dan, you mentioned this in your article at the start of the month, your first kind of, what you're looking at for MobileFit month. It's not about the accuracy of it necessarily. It's about the consistency over time. So my scale there will tell me I'm 19% body fat right now. Maybe in reality I'm 21. Maybe in reality, if I went and did a different testing method, I'm 16. I don't know. But what I do know is the scale is consistent. So if I wake up in the morning, I go pee, I go stand on it, I'm weighing myself in a consistent sort of format each day. And over time, it's right. If I start to pack on the percentage of body fat, it's not lying to me. And if I start to drop it, it's not lying to me either. So whether it's 100% accurate, I don't know, but as long as it's accurate or consistently inaccurate, that's where the benefit is. So for me, it's just a no-brainer. I mean, every household pretty much has a scale in it. Whenever you buy your next scale, to me, it'd be crazy not to buy a Wi-Fi connected smart scale. And in the last 4 years, there's a lot better scales with more memory settings, more features to it, and the one I have isn't the best one anymore, but a great investment. Like, I would highly recommend to anyone to buy one.
I would say the most important thing actually about them, at least for my use, is it's memory, because I think it's really easy to sort of guess what a lot of people don't necessarily weigh themselves every day or keep a running record of it, so you may forget in 2 months ago, what did I weigh, and I notice we tend to misremember or go up or down. And so a lot of people are just kind of vague on it, and this keeps you, like what you said, it keeps you honest, because every time you step on that, it saves it, goes to the cloud. And so if I go to, because I have the Fitbit one, the Area, and if I go now to Fitbit, I can actually see a whole scale of, and it's actually surprising. Compare myself to a year ago, and I can see, and it's not just about weight, right? As I always tell people when they start exercising, it's mostly about your body fat composition. That's really what you should be interested in, because you can actually, someone like The Rock weighs, I think, 250 pounds, but no one's going to call him fat, right? So because he's a rather large person, plus he has a lot of muscle mass on him, versus if I weigh 250 pounds. Right now, that would be a very different story. So I think it's important that people don't necessarily get hooked on just what their physical weight is, because when you're trying to lose weight, if you're doing gym with lifting and other types of exercises, you can actually gain weight, but lose fat. And you don't want to be, if you're not measuring that, you could be like, oh man, I'm actually gaining weight, I'm not losing anything. And that'd be a bad thing. So I tell people not to get fixated on their actual weight, and that's what's good about these scales. They do the electrical impedance thing. Now, I'm not saying those are 100% accurate. They're far from it. The actual, if you really want your body fat measured, there are different, tests you can actually do, including water displacement calipers, and there's even one that actually scans your whole body. But this will give you a baseline. So if you hit like 16% and you do that every day and you see you're 16, 16.2, 16.3, 15.9, you'll get that range. And if you have that consistently and you start exercising and it drops down to say 14%, there's a pretty good chance you're going to have noticed your body composition change during that. And so you might not actually be 14%, but you know that there was a shift in that measurement there. And the other thing is when you're using these smart scales, just to use it consistently at the same time every day, because they change greatly based on what you ate and what you drank. And so if you're measuring yourself different points during the day all the time, it's going to always be off and those readings won't be accurate. So you always want to get try to have a routine, right, and just stick with it.
Oh, and I mean, for me this year on my scale, I came back from CES, the Consumer Electronics event in Vegas in January, at like 206 pounds and I think 25% body fat. And now I'm, 185 and I think 18 or 19 on the scale. So it's a big change, right? And that's in a 6-month period, and it's good, right? If you didn't have the scale to tell you that, it would be easy to remember yourself skinnier than you were, and not notice the changes. But this gives you a big, if you're able to celebrate your wins and fear your losses and get your butt into gear.
Yeah, I just bought one at the beginning of the month, and so far everything you guys have said is pretty accurate. It's just fun, even in the 30 days, to kind of see how your measurements change. It's exciting, and it's a good way to keep you honest and motivate you if you're doing the right thing, and discipline you if you're doing the wrong thing.
I think the funniest thing now is when I look back at my 4-year history at the biggest peaks on the scale. One is related to Adam, where it was his bachelor party weekend in Montreal. And, coming back from a debaucherous weekend of, drinking and smoked meats and all this kind of stuff. I was like 208 or something. And then the last time was actually last August. I went to Italy for a couple weeks, and I came back at like 210 pounds, just so much good pasta and cheese. And I was like,
yeah, no, I think compared to last summer when I was like really, really skinny, I've actually gained a little over 20 pounds. I've only gone up about 1 or 2% body fat, so that's not 20% fat I gained, which is good. But that's cool just to be able to measure that and see that difference,
Crazy. It's true.
Exciting stuff.
So MobileFit month, would you say it was a success? More so than years past?
I think it's the beginning of a really cool program where we're just going to keep studying the intersection of health, fitness, technology, mobile technology. And
I think it's a good plan this year, because every other year I feel like we kind of rushed and packed things into it just to fit them within the month. But the fact now that we have Connectedly, we're going to stretch it out, so it's going to be MobileFit forever. And I think maybe next year we'll still have fitness month, whatever month it may be, but it's going to be a year-round thing that we're going to try to keep going to encourage people, because we're geeks by nature, and a lot of us just sit around all day in front of the computers, so it's good to have a year-long thing where we can encourage people to actually stay fit and not be total budgets.
I think that's what we'll do is we'll set up, on whatever site in our network you like to visit, whether it's Connectedly or WP Central or Crackberry or iMore or Android Central. We'll set it up so you can go to, thatname.com/MobileFit, and then it'll pull in not just the stories that are tagged to MobileFit from that site, but you'll be able to see all the ones throughout the network, currently how it is on Connectedly/MobileFit. And I think that'll be really good. So, if you ever are looking for this type of, whether it's advice or products and all that, you're going to be able to find it very quickly across the network, and we'll keep it coming year round, which is, I think, really exciting. There's just no, it's like there's already a ton of stuff, and you can tell we've only just begun. Things are going to accelerate a lot now over the next couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have any other fun stuff, Sam? Are we going to give anything else away, or is that it?
I think that's about it. I mean, throughout as MobileFit goes on, we'll keep looking at things to give out and do contests here and there just to stoke the interest if it's falling down, or just to keep people motivated. And by carrying on MobileFit, it's kind of gonna this topic will mirror the real life where people are continually trying to get in shape, not just in 30 days, but in 6 months, 2 years, and stuff like that. So it's tons of more stuff to come.
Yay.
Perfect. So I guess people can look for this podcast on all the sites. Sam, you'll do a good old contest announcement for all the winners of the MobileFit Challenge and everything else. And let's wind it down until the next Connectedly podcast is back.
Yay.
And we'll talk fitness. Keep fit and have fun.
MobileFit forever.
MobileFit.
Connectedly.com/MobileFit. You'll be able to find everything there. Thanks for tuning in. This is funny because this is the third Connectedly show, and it's our second MobileFit show. So we're going to have to pick up the pace and do actual real Connectedly shows coming up, which will happen. Now that I don't have all this fitness stuff occupying me and I can go back to being fat and eating whatever I want, I'll concentrate more on
unacceptable.
So that's it. Kevin Mitchell, where can we find you?
You can find me on the Twitters at Kevin Mitchelluk and Instagram at Kevin Mitchelluk, and appearing randomly across all of our Mobile Nation sites because that's what I do.
Topless. Sam Sabri, where can we find you?
You can find me, Sam Sabri, on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, Clout.
I'm going to Pinterest right now to see what you're picking.
I don't know if I actually have a Pinterest, but I mean I should. I usually try and snag the Sam Sabri username on any sites that are up and coming.
Are you on Yo? Can we find you on Yo?
I'm on Yo.
No, I don't have Yo yet.
Perfect. Daniel Rubino.
You can find me at Daniel_Rubino at Twitter and Instagram, and of course I write every day, usually every day at Windows Phone Central, where we'll be talking about all things Microsoft. And speaking of smartwatch stuff, rumor has it come October, Microsoft is entering the race, so we'll see what happens.
Who's excited?
Yeah.
So that's about it. My name is Adam Zeiss. I'm on Twitter at azeiss. You can find me at connectedly.com, and we will be back super soon with plenty more connected extravaganza things. Have a glorious day.
MobileFit out. Done.